Good morning. I am Kishore from IIITDM Kanchipuram, Vidai. Exams Uday. Everything is possible. Exams Uday is a non-profit initiative by the students of IIITDM Kanchipuram to give free coaching and resources to students and prepare for national level competitive exams like NTSC and NMMS. Now the topic that today we are going to discuss is laws of motion. The contents are as follows: introduction, the laws of inertia, Newton's first law of motion, Newton's second law of motion, Newton's third law of motion, conservation of momentum, as well as common forces in mechanics like impulse, torque, gravitational force, etc. And we'll also be discussing about mass versus weight. We'll be discussing about the definitions of them as well as their SI units. Introduction. In this lesson, you will learn the basic laws of motion and discover that force causes motion. The concept of force developed in this lesson will be useful in different branches of physics. Newton's laws are very important because they tie into almost everything that we see in our everyday life. This law tells us exactly how things move or sit or still. Like, why don't you float out of bed or fall through the floor of your house? Newton's law controls how cars work, how water flows, how buildings don't fall. Basically, it tells us everything around us. This law governs all of these movements. Cause of motion: force. Now, what is force? Force, it is the amount of strength required to push or pull an object. Therefore, the study of effect of force on bodies are called as mechanics. There are two types of mechanics, that is statical mechanics and dynamical mechanics. The statics, it deals with the body which are at rest under the action of forces. For example, the car parked at parking area, the weight of the building acting on the ground. Basically, if a body is at rest for a particular point of time, we can conclude that the body is at statical type of motion. Now coming to the dynamics, as the name suggests, it is the movement. So therefore, the study of moving body under the action of force is called as dynamics, and it is of two types, that is kinematics and kinetics. And kinematics, it deals with the motion of body without considering the cause of motion, like shooting a basketball, firing a cannonball. Whereas kinetics, it tells about the process, how you are able to shoot the ball. Therefore, the kinetics, it deals with the motion of bodies considering the cause of motion. For example, friction, engine of running car, pressure, etc. Inertia. It is one of the very important concepts required for Newton's first law of motion. Inertia. As the definition says, it is the tendency of the body to resist any change in its state of rest or uniform motion unless it is influenced upon the external unbalanced force is known as inertia. Basically, a object tend to be in its own state, in its own motion until and unless some unbalanced external force is acting upon. And this phenomena is known as inertia. There are three types of inertia, that is inertia of rest, inertia of motion, inertia of direction. Inertia of rest, it is the resistance of a body to change in its state of rest. That is, when you vigorously shake a tree, we may notice that some of the leaves and fruits may fall down, and this is due to the fact that the tree tend to be at rest, same as the leaves and fruits also tend to be at same motion, that is at rest. And when you shake, the tree changes its motion to the tree changes and it will be in motion, whereas the leaves and fruits are still in rest position and they tend to fall down due to motion. Therefore, now inertia of motion. The inertia of motion, it is the resistance of a body to change in its state of motion. An athlete runs some distance before jumping because this will help him to jump longer and higher. That is the inertia of motion. When when before you are jumping, you need to perform something, so that you need to jump for a longer distance. Therefore, the athlete runs at some distance so that he may gain the force and he will reach more longer distance while jumping. Now coming to the third, that is inertia of direction. It is the resistance of a body to change in its direction of motion. That is, when you make a sharp turn while driving a car, you always tend to lean sideways. Newton's first law of motion, also known as law of inertia, states that every body continues to be in a state of rest or of uniform motion until and unless it is compelled by an external force to act otherwise. For example, to understand the concept well, let's assume that a car carrying a luggage is going for uniform motion in a empty road, and suddenly the car driver inside applies a brake. We may notice that the luggage may fall down as the luggage top of the car is still in motion, whereas the car is in rest, as it has come to rest when we apply the brake. Therefore, it is advised that we tie an luggage kept in the roof of a car with a rope, so that the luggage doesn't fall though the car comes at rest or when we apply sudden brakes. Coming to the Newton's second law of motion, before jumping into the Newton's second law of motion, we need to know about momentum, as it is also known as law of momentum. Now, what is momentum? As the definition says, it is a measure of quantity of motion in the body or impact of force on the body. Mathematically, it is also defined as it is the product of mass m and velocity v, and it is denoted by p. Therefore, we can say that p is equal to m into v. Momentum is clearly a vector quantity. The direction of the momentum vector is same as the direction of the velocity vector. Newton's second law of motion. The Newton's second law of motion is expressed by Newton as follows. The rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the applied force and takes place in the direction in which the force acts. It is easier for a person to push an empty shopping cart than full one. This is depending on the mass of the object. This is the first example. Now coming to the second example, catching a ball. We may notice that while watching cricket matches, the fielders they tend to pull their hands backwards after catching the ball, because the force not only depends on the change in momentum, but it also depends how fast the change is brought about. A cricketer draws in his hands during a catch, allowing greater time to stop the ball. Hence, it requires smaller force, therefore least pressure on your hands, therefore your hand won't pain. Now, mathematically deriving this Newton's second law of motion, that is, thus, if under the action of force F for time interval delta t, the velocity of the body of mass m changes from v to plus v, that is, the change of velocity delta v. And then let's assume that the initial momentum p is equal to mv and changes by delta p, whereas m is equal to delta v. As you know that there is a change in velocity, therefore there is a change in momentum as well. Now, according to the second law, force is directly proportional to delta p by delta t, that is rate of change of momentum. To remove the proportionality, we add a constant of proportionality here, that is k. Therefore, whereas the k is a constant of proportionality, this is what the main expression for Newton's second law of motion. Now, taking the limit delta v tends to 0, the term delta p by delta t becomes the derivative or differential coefficient of p, that is dp by dt, nothing more in that. And now F is equal to k dp by dt. Now for a fixed mass of m, now we know that p is equal to mv, and we are substituting the p value here, so we'll get d of mv by dt. And you know that mass is constant, therefore dv by dt. We know that the rate of change of velocity is known as acceleration, that is dv by dt is acceleration. The rate of change of velocity with respect to time is known as acceleration. Therefore, the term dv by dt will become acceleration a. Therefore, we can write that F is equal to k into ma. The second law of motion can also be written as force is equal to ma, which shows that the force is proportional to the product of the mass and the acceleration. Now defining the SI unit of force, we can say that the acceleration of 1 meter per second to a mass of 1 kg, this unit is known as Newton, that is 1 Newton is equal to 1 kg meter per second square. Similarly, the unit force can also be defined as the amount of force required to produce an acceleration of 1 meter per second square in a body of mass of 1 kg is known as unit force. Now coming to the Newton's third law of motion, it is very popular law, that is the third law of motion is expressed as to every action there is equal and opposite reaction. That is, according to Sir Newton, whenever the objects A and B interact with each other, they exert some force upon each other. That when you sit in your chair, your body exerts a downward force on the chair. and the chair exerts an upward force on your body. Therefore, these two forces resulting form an interaction, and the force and these two forces are called as action and reaction. Where you sit is an action, the reaction force is where the chair is exerting an upward force on you, that is known as reaction force. So we can conclude that in every reaction there is a pair of forces acting on two interacting objects. The size of a force on the first object equals to the size of the force of the second object. The direction of the force of the first object is opposite to the direction of the second object. That is, action and reaction always they are opposite forces. Therefore, the forces always comes in pairs, that is equal and opposite, action and reaction. According to the Newton's third law, we can say that FAB is equal to minus of FBA. That is, FAB is force on A by due to B, and minus force on B due to A. That is, FAB is equal to minus of FBA. That is what the Newton's third law. This is. Now coming to the examples of it, this law can be observed anywhere, everywhere in the surroundings. We have noticed that a swimmer pushes the water backwards in his hands. On return, the water pushes the swimmer forwards, enabling him to go forward during swimming. Similarly, we can see that the man is walking on the ground. While walking, the person pushes the ground backward, and the ground in turn pushes the person in the forward direction, thus making him to walk. Similarly, the bird. Similarly, when a person is lying on a bed, his weight is opposed by the bed. Therefore, in turn, both the force cancels out each other, and the person enjoys the equilibrium position. Therefore, FAB, that is, FAB is equal to minus of FB. Therefore, the equilibrium is satisfied. Therefore, the bed doesn't break or the person lying on the bed doesn't fall. Therefore, the Newton's third law of motion is satisfied. Now coming to the conservation of momentum, it is the conservation of momentum. We know that the forces we cannot take the action of forces very easily. They has to be conserved. They has to be taken care of. If we push more force, it may cause. Suppose you are walking and someone pushes you very harshly, then you may fall down. Therefore, the certain amount of force has to be conserved. Therefore, it has been experimentally shown that if two bodies interact, the vector sum of their momenta remains unchanged, provided the force of the mutual interaction is the only force acting on them. The same has been found to be true for more than two bodies interacting with each other. Generally, a number of bodies interacting on each other is said to be forming a system. If the bodies in the system do not interact with the bodies outside the system, then the system is said to be a closed system or an isolated system. So therefore, in an isolated system, the vector sum of momentum of the bodies remains constant, and this is known as law of conservation of momentum. Now you may logically ask, what causes the momentum of the individual system in an isolated system to change? It is due to the mutual interaction and the strengths. Therefore, the conservation of linear momentum applicable in a wide range of phenomena such as collisions, explosions, nucleations, etc. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you for attending. Please tune in for part 2, the next video, where we'll be discussing about the derivation of conservation of momentum and the few illustrations of conservation of momentum, as well as some of the common forces in mechanics such as impulse, torque, gravitational force, etc. As well as we'll be discussing about mass versus weight and their SI units, and as well as their definitions. Please do check the description below for the extra questions and the lecture notes for each chapter. Thank you.